This week we continue to discuss housing affordability. Why? Well, why not? Stay tuned. Welcome to another local market update with Rick Batista. Welcome to another weekly market update. As leaves fall across Chicagoan, the world and humanity finds itself in a very interesting time. To my 114 subscribers, I'd like to apologize for taking a couple of weeks off, but we had a few matters that required our attention. I'm glad to say we're back. Before we get into housing affordability, let me first say that with so many things going on with the economy right now, as well as in and around housing and around the world, I'm committed to bringing you weekly market updates because once a month just doesn't cut it. And I've got to confess something. I find myself scratching my head about this market, and I know what's going on. So I'm confused here and there. I can only imagine how you must feel. My commitment is to help you understand what your options are and how to make sense of it all. So this video discusses both national and local data. The local data we'll share in just a bit is for Chicago proper, the 77 areas, and all the way to service all of Chicagoland, including the Burbs. Later in this video, we're only going to dive into the city's data. So let's catch up on some fun facts and take it from there. Annual U.S. single-family rent growth fell to 2.9% in August, marking the 16th consecutive month of declines, according to CoreLogic's most recent single-family rent index. Although rent growth continues to moderate, single-family rents have increased by 30% nationwide since February 2020, and renters are feeling the effects, with the average American renter household spending about 40% of its income on housing costs as of last measure. Ouch. My 2 cents, besides that ouch, about rental prices in the Chicagoland area. They have certainly been going up and away over the past few years. We've shown in several recent market updates how rents have gone up exponentially over the last few decades across the country. With that said, some Chicagoland areas are still very strong this time of year when it comes to rental market. These are typically areas where you can find renters any time of year. However, in certain areas and price points, you landlords of these properties know exactly what I'm talking about. It ain't fun times right now. In fact, once we cross June 1st, and especially getting closer to July, the rental market can get pretty dicey. Overall, just like the housing sales market, most activity can be found in April, May, and June. The benefits as a landlord during that time, more qualified applicants, and the chance of getting higher prices. The benefits as a renter, not as many. Typically more options, certainly, but the downside with more options, more competition. And something we've seen more and more of over the last couple of few years, competition causing out or overbidding, meaning higher rental rates, which doesn't necessarily play out very well for the overall cause for either side. With all this said, as we'll touch on later in this video, does it make sense to rent versus buy right now? For many in the short term, it may make more financial sense to rent, but in the long haul, that's likely not the case. Next in the docket, elevated mortgage rates have surpassed high home prices as the primary barrier to housing affordability, according to Fannie Mae's latest home price sentiment index, which fell by 2.4 points to 64.5 in September. The monthly decrease in HPSI was attributed to net decreases in 5 of the index's 6 components: buying conditions, selling conditions, mortgage rate outlook, job loss concern, and change in household income, with the majority of consumers reporting that they expect mortgage rates will continue to rise over the next 12 months. My 2 cents on this subject: mortgage rates, without a doubt, are a concern. What am I seeing? There are still plenty of people who see the benefit of owning versus renting. And if they can make it happen, they're going to make it happen. And by golly gee whiz, I'm here to help you make it happen. Let me go one step further. I see that inventory is still a greater challenge versus mortgage rates, even right now. And let's wrap up the fun fact segment with this gem. Builder confidence continues to wane amid persistently high mortgage rates, which have remained above 7% since mid-August. According to the National Association of Home Builders, builder confidence in newly built single-family homes fell 4 points to 40 in October, marking the 3rd consecutive monthly decline. Higher rates have priced many prospective buyers out of the market, while also driving up the cost of builder development and construction loans, further impacting supply and housing affordability. Bottom line, this is a challenging market for just about everyone, no doubt. Let's keep our heads up high, on straight, work together, and find a way to make it happen when it makes sense for you. I can never and will never apply pressure to you to take that first step. You have to have those conversations and discussions and make those decisions and choices and or create your own sense of urgency within your own household. I can't do any of that for you. Once you make that decision, though, I'm here for you. Now let's unpack this wacky market a bit more. This first slide from the National Association of Realtors shows the Housing Affordability Index from 1990 to today, as recent as of August 2023. As we can see, it's no so good. For the first time in 33 years, we're at a point where there are more households that can't afford to buy a home, something that can't be great for society, the economy, and our communities, not to mention our own individual households. If we look at a very small portion of that chart and break out January 2022 through today, again through August 2023, look at the roller coaster ride we've been on. So much of it has to do with the mortgage rates going up and down, which, if memory serves me right, was right around May of last year. And to make a little bit more sense of the dotted lines on the first two slides, which is at 100, that value of 100 means that a household with a median income has exactly enough income to qualify for a mortgage on a median-priced home. For the green bars over the dotted line, that means that the household earning the median income has more than enough income to qualify for a mortgage loan on a median-priced home, assuming a 20% down payment. And we'll touch on down payments later in this video. So, how much can mortgage rates impact affordability? Well, it all comes down to money, honey. Look at the mortgage payment on a median-priced home from January 2021 through August 2023. They have more than doubled, and that's just craziness. Does this mean you can't afford a home? No. Does this mean you shouldn't even consider buying right now? No. What does this mean? Well, it comes down to you and your household situations, wants, needs, goals, and more. So I really can't provide any info or insight on your particular situation until we actually sit down and talk about your options. If it ain't me, make sure you're talking with a realtor who knows the market both locally and nationally, and please be sure that you're speaking with a realtor speaking with you and not at you. I will say that plenty of buyers are still out there. The housing market is still on the move. It may look different, it may be challenging, but onward we go. To piggyback onto the last slide, this data also from NAR shows the mortgage payment to income ratio from 2022 to the present, assuming a 30-year fixed mortgage rate with 20% down payment and a median-priced home with a median income. Principal and interest payment to income should ideally be at or below 25%, although the most recent data shows we are above that. Luckily, it is not too far off at 27.3%. Last June, we were sitting at 26.5%, and it's been going up and down since 2000, with not having seen the lowest point in 10 years when we were at 11.6% in January 2013. That would be nice to get as far under the limbo stick as possible, but for now, how about we just work on getting back down to or even just under 25%. Now let's put some things in a different perspective. This data from Freddie Mac shows the current mortgage rates compared to the last 5 decades, although we may be a tad higher than what's on this chart as of today. As of November 5th, we were looking at 7.38%. We're certainly higher than what we saw in the 2000s and 2010s, but lower than the 1970s and 90s, and far lower than the 1980s. We can certainly have conversations about how home prices and the cost of living were back then, but I guarantee you that plenty of households were still struggling to save money for a down payment, let alone being able to purchase their dream home at that time. People took a chance, purchased at a higher rate, refinanced and built equity. It may not have worked out well for every household, but so many either directly benefited from the equity that they acquired or it made a positive impact on their surviving loved ones. So, what impacts housing affordability and what control can you have over it? There's essentially a 3-part equation to housing affordability: wages, mortgage rates, and home prices. What can you do to have control over these situations, over each of these situations? Well, we as individuals or households may not be able to control the situation overall, but we can have some sort of control for our own households. Let's take a look at wages first. How can you control your wages? Well, the choices you make with the schooling or education you pursue that can certainly lead to certain career paths and salary ranges. Even certain certifications or licenses you obtain can play a role in the salary you can expect to earn now or down the line. In some cases, a second part-time job or side gig with verifiable and steady income may help the cause. Next, we're looking at mortgage rates. What the heck can you do about mortgage rates? I'm glad you asked. With the way of the market, some sellers are willing to help you make homeownership a reality. One of the tools being utilized is a buy-down, like 1-1, 2-1, or 3-1 programs. Let me try and explain this a little bit more easily because it can get very confusing. But let's look at a 3-1 program, and then you can apply the same logic to the other two. You can expect a mortgage rate in your first year to be 3% less than the note rate. Year 2, 2% less than the note rate. Year 3, 1% less than the note rate, with the full note rate going into effect years 4 through 30. So let's say, for example, you get a mortgage right now for the sake of argument, 8%. In the first year, it would be 5%. Second year, 6%. Third year, 7%. And then fourth year through year 30 would be 8%. The buyer can certainly pay for this out of pocket, but as your buyer's agent, it's ideal to negotiate and craft the offer to have the seller cover this cost, saving you thousands of dollars up front and throughout the first 1 to 3 years of your mortgage. And even though rates are higher right now, it's practical to believe that by the time year 1 and 2 come along, and certainly by the time year 3 comes along, mortgage rates will be lower and you can then refinance your mortgage so you don't have to ever worry about paying the full note rate. Another possibility along the same thought process is purchasing new construction, where builders are offering the same buy-down program right out of the gate as incentives to attract more buyers. Next, we're looking at home prices, and this one we're going to unpack a little bit more. Despite higher rates, home prices continue to appreciate. Why? Well, that's thanks to inventory. How can we quote-unquote control home prices? a few things come to mind. One, consider options other than the most ideal. You might want a single-family home, but a condo or townhome may be more affordable right now. Buy, own, and build equity for your next move, the bigger home, your dream home. Perhaps you can expand your search area. Where you really want to be may not be within reach right now, but neighborhoods a couple few miles away might not only provide more square footage and a real backyard, but most importantly, lower price points. The ultimate benefit, housing that is more affordable for you and your household. Of course, you have to consider your commute to work, if one exists these days, and or how often, schools, and all the other factors that are important for you and those in your household. The third thing, take advantage of first-time homebuyer programs. Take advantage of buyer and down payment assistance programs. There's a really good chance that your city or state are offering these. There are programs out there that are not being utilized enough. I've personally had clients take advantage of these, so I know that these are not just fairy tale options. Speaking of down payments, some folks can qualify for a 3.5% or 3% down. I've even recently heard of 1% down in some cases. And as I've mentioned in the last point, some households may not even have to pay any down payment at all. It all depends on the programs available and what you may qualify for. But the biggest takeaway, don't think you have to come up with 20 or even 10 or 5% to make homeownership a reality. Putting more money down has its benefits, and of course, the bottom line benefits when it comes to finances. But if you're trying to get into homeownership versus throwing your money away renting, again, all depends on what your situation is and what's best for you. But please, please, please consider all the options out there. Multi-generational living. There's a new program starting this month that offers as low as 5% down payment on multi-unit properties. If you're in Chicago, we're talking about 2 to 4 flats. It may not be an option for everyone, but it is going to be a wonderful option for those looking for another way to get their foot into the door of home ownership. This is something I discussed at length in a recent market update video, and I believe this is going to be a great game changer, bringing more inventory to the market and helping more and more buyers who are just itching to purchase, even with these quote-unquote outrageous rates. If you're ready to have a conversation about any of these topics I just covered, reach out. My contact info is below. And I can also get you in touch with some awesome lenders who I trust to take good care of you and get the job done. There are many benefits to homeownership, but what do I feel is the most crucial and impactful one? The ability to lock in what will likely be your single largest monthly expense for the next 30 years, allowing you the chance to have more options. Yes, you will now have to worry about changing light bulbs, clogged toilets, housing repairs, replacing your HVAC system, and maybe even a roof down the line. You essentially become your own landlord. And it's going to suck sometimes. But in the end, you are far more likely to come out financially stronger than how you first started. Listen, the system wasn't designed to be beat, but we can play the game. I want you to have more options in life. Renting may provide some freedom for you to roam, but if you're planning to grow some roots, renting will never provide the benefits of home ownership. Bottom line, let's focus on the things we can control and not the things we can't. In my professional and humble expert opinion, I would say 1, don't wait for home prices to come down, or come crashing down, I should say. Because a lot of people think that that's going to happen. And 2, don't wait for rates to plummet. Do what is right for you and your household when it makes sense. But again, in my professional and humble expert opinion, once we see rates dip back down towards 7 and even under 7, especially under 7, I think we're going to see some wackiness, especially if inventory stays low. If you were trying to buy from about mid-2020 through mid-2022, you know what I'm talking about. I still see you at the support group meetings on Thursdays. Heck, it still isn't easy for many buyers today. But together, we can get you through this. It may involve some time, patience, and compromise, but the one thing you will benefit from is the expertise, knowledge, and experience from your support team, which typically for many buyers out there would be your realtor, lender, attorney, and home inspector. Now it's time to wake up! For the moment you've been waiting for. This information and data is provided by the Chicago Association of Realtors, covering the week ending November 4th and is current as of November 13th. From fun facts, we go to quick facts. We're looking at year-over-year changes. First, in new listings, detached market down by 7.2%, attached being condos and townhomes down just under 15%. Under contract, both of these categories positive. I think that's a good sign. Detached up by 19%, attached up by 8.6%, which goes to show you there's still buyers out there looking to buy. Homes for sale will be wrapped up at 22.1% less than the detached market and 22.3% in the attached market year over year. Unpacking those numbers a little bit more, new listings, we wrapped up the week of November 4th with 297 single-family detached homes, 3-month average 337, down by 17.5%. In the attached, 371, 3-month average of 465, down by 13.6%. Under contract, we wrapped up the week of November 4th with 163 single-family detached homes, 3-month average, 163 as well, down by just under 2.6% year over year. Attached market, 202, 3-month average, 219, and down by 5% year over year. And inventory of homes for sale, we wrapped up the week of November 4th with 2,392 single-family detached homes, 3-month average of 2,387, down by 24.4%. And the attached market, 3,523, 3-month average of 3,534, and down by 27.5% year over year. So, what does all this information mean for you? Heck if I know. All depends on what's going on in your life and your household. Let's start a conversation and see how we can help you make the most informed decisions. If you'd like copies of any reports or slides we shared with you today, feel free to reach out. You can call, text, or email. My contact info is below. And remember, love and money may come and go, but time is something we never get back. So I thank and appreciate you for sharing some of your time with me today. If you want to stay on top of the market with us, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And think of one person you believe would benefit from this info, then be sure to share it with them. As always, and now more than ever, take care of yourselves and each other. Don't forget to hug someone today, and I'll catch you next time.